Most people, when they hear about weight training, they're thinking, God, I gotta start 2 to 3 days a week. And just the thought of starting something 2 to 3 days a week already feels overwhelming. You don't have to go spend a ton of time in the gym. You just have to be willing to work when you are at the gym. You can do a very concentrated dose of exercise and get a really good result and not have to spend countless, minutes, hours, time in the gym. So in about 35, minutes once a week, you can get a very good workout and then not have to repeat that workout for another 5 to 7 days. In 52 workouts over the course of a year, an untrained person could double, if not triple, their existing strength. That workout, doing once a week, high intensity training, is as good as going 2 to 3 times a week to the gym, because you are upping the intensity of the workout. If my intensity comes up, my duration and frequency must go down. It's like impossible to stay up here at this level of intensity and also up the frequency and the duration. Your body just would not be able to maintain. Typical forms of training, usually you'll go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. And then usually what you'll do is you'll do multiple sets in that training session. So if it's, let's say we're doing bicep curls, you might do 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15. If we do bicep curls in here, we're gonna do 1 set and we're gonna take it to muscular fatigue. So that could be 12 reps, or it could be, depending on the speed of your reps, it could be 6 reps. Some people think it means I'm just gonna put a bunch of weight on them and make it really hard. No, I can bring the weight down and just have you go really slow and controlled with a specific amount of weight. And that's gonna up that intensity so much by the speeds of the rep. There's levels of intensity for each person coming in. I think everybody starts at their level. I'm probably gonna push a 20-year-old much different than I'm going to push a 78-year-old coming into me. Unless that 78-year-old has been training for years and years and is highly conditioned. Speed does play a factor in my training with my clients because I want them to work at a specific level, which is usually about 65% of what their max rep would be. If somebody can lift 100 pounds, we're gonna lift 65. I really think it's ideal for all bodies and all body types, because if you're going slow and controlled, one, it's gonna be safe. 2, you're gonna be able to focus on form. 3, you're gonna be able to sustain it over time. 10 years from now, you're gonna still be able to do high intensity training, slow and controlled. It works for a lot of people, and it works, whether someone has injuries or not, you're able to work around those because of the speed of the exercises, taking form always into consideration. All those things become a factor, especially with aging population. It's the intensity that we're working at. So we're not doing multiple sets, we're doing 1 set that is intense and taking your muscles to exhaustion in that set. If you do it right the first time, why do you need to do 2 and 3 sets? I've never understood that. So if you do the first set correct, what would be the need to do set 2 and 3? If you take them to exhaustion, you can't go more than exhaustion. When you come in typically in once a week style training, you are gonna work all your muscles within a single session. We define it as a concentrated dose of exercise. It is your whole body. So typically people will start with their largest muscle group, which is their legs and glutes, and then move into their upper body, and usually we'll finish off with calves and abs, smaller muscle groups. As opposed to, as you see in typical gym training or mainstream style training, say they're training 2 to 3 times a week, they're probably still breaking up body parts. So they're not doing 3 workouts of their full body. They might be doing, back and abs on one day, and then they might be doing shoulders and chest, and then they might be doing legs on another day. So they're just breaking it up. And what I'm saying is Make it a very concentrated dose of exercise. That way, more hormones need to be released. Your body is having to really adapt hard to get strong. Intensity matters, and that's why you see a lot of times at the gym, people will go multiple times a week, and then what will happen over time is they'll plateau and they're not seeing results. That's because their intensity has now come to probably an even level, and they now go to the gym out of a good habit, which is good. We all need habits, but they're not doing anything to push the threshold. And when you do high intensity training, I'm doing everything in my power to make it as hard as I possibly can in a single set. Break the muscle down in order for it to repair, recover, and get stronger. If a client in the beginning came in with less muscle development, they probably could get away with coming in, 2 days a week just fine for a while. But over time, as their muscle got stronger and more developed, what would happen on that second workout is I would just have to reduce their weights. And so they even though they weren't sore or, they would still have the fatigue in the muscles, and we couldn't up the intensity on that second workout. All I would be doing is just resetting weights and lowering weights. So there is that diminishing returns that will happen if somebody was to say start twice a week and then over time keep that twice a week up. They just wouldn't be able to maintain it. If they're doing it right the first time, they're not going to want to do a second and third workout. Like, believe me, once you've done it well the first time, you don't want to come back for another 5 to 7 days. I think it does depend on body type. If you have a highly muscular body, you're not going to be able to train as often at that intensity level. So I think even for someone like myself who does have high amounts of muscle, my body would respond probably better to less. And that's very hard for the brain to make that shift that less is better, not more. I've been doing once a week style training for 20 years, and I think, 21 years actually this year. So I think that because of the development in my muscles, I probably could get away with every 10 to 14 days. But I don't even really want to experiment with that because I do like lifting weights. But I think that now that I have larger muscle bellies being carried on this same frame, you got to think about it. Your frame isn't changing as you build muscle. So the same frame is having to now support more muscle. So it would make sense that that frame needs more time to repair and recover, as your muscles become more developed and as you're able to lift heavier and heavier amounts of weight. So yes, could someone probably get away with doing even less than every 7 days? Yes. But have I experimented with it? No, because I actually like when I'm in here lifting weights. I don't think anybody should feel intimidated by strength training, but I think that if you are intimidated by strength training, you should hire a coach. Like, you should find someone in your area or find someone that can help you get started. Because back when I started lifting weights, I didn't know what I was doing. And I walked into a gym just so overwhelmed by all the equipment. And I would just start to look around and see what other women my size were doing. And then I would just start to copy what they were doing because I didn't quite know what I was doing. If you feel really intimidated by it, there's help anywhere you go. But I think having that coach and that person to help you get started, even if you don't continue with them, they can at least show you the proper way to do the exercises, at least get you forming good habits in the beginning so you're not hurting yourself later on. If you have questions, you can leave any questions in the comments. I also have an Instagram page, and that is under All Women Have Muscles, and you could go there and direct questions to me.